Now, the governor that day was Serena Arthur, and he anticipated violence, and so he alerted the commander of the Caribbean area about the incident, and he asked for a company of British troops to be sent from Jamaica. He just feared that this tense situation might result in disorder and violence. So these are just newspapers from the day. So it was on January 28th, 1958, that His Excellency at last was able to bring representatives from the tour companies and the taxi union together at a top-level conference. And at the end of the talks, the officers of each organization, they signed a detailed agreement providing for the more equitable distribution or equitable division of transportation of passengers to and from the airport. And as a result of the general strike, there were additional labor reforms that came about as well. Within 3 months of that strike, a senior British cabinet minister was in Nassau pushing for constitutional reforms, and later in that year, legislation was passed to set up a labor department and a process for industrial conciliation. And the following year, as a result of the strike, we saw the abolition of the company vote, the extension of the franchise to all men over 21, and the creation of 4 new parliamentary seats, all of which were later won by the Progressive Liberal Party. Now, I've experienced many elections, but for me, none can compare to the general elections of 1967, which had a startling and surprising outcome. Most of you here would know that at that time there were 2 major political parties, the United Bahamian Party, which was predominantly white, and the Progressive Liberal Party, which was predominantly black. And in that election you had an independent candidate, Sir Alvin Brennan, and a Labourite. And he was never an independent, although some people use that term to describe him. He was always a Labourite. And so those are the people who fielded candidates. Those were the parties that fielded candidates for the 1967 election. And I'm sure all of you know the outcome of that 1967 election. The United Bahamian Party obtained 18 seats, and so did the Progressive Liberal Party. And consequently, both parties supported Sir Alvin and Sir Randol. And in an effort to entice Sir Randol to join with the United Bahamian Party, Sir Rowland, the then Premier, said to Sir Randol, "Name your terms." Now, some people ask us, is that true? Did he ever say that? Well, my mother was at the House of Labour when the call came from Sir Rowland. And she hurriedly got my father. Then she went into the next room and picked up the phone. She's still with us, and she said that is so, that she heard it herself. And so Sir Randol would give his one vote as the lone member of the Labour Party to the Progressive Liberal Party. And a coalition government was formed, and the Progressive Liberal Party, for the first time in Bahamian history, became the government of the day. Now, Sir Alvin, he decided that he would maintain his neutrality and become the Speaker of the House of Assembly. And in an interview with the Nassau Guardian on January 14th, 1967, Sir Alvin said, and I'm quoting, "Consider me still an independent." And when asked by the Guardian reporter if he would like to be the Speaker of the House, Mr. Brennan said, "Who wouldn't? Any Bahamian would like to be the Speaker." And I understand that that was a lifelong dream for Sir Alvin Brennan to become the Speaker of the House of Assembly. And when the men were sworn in as members of Parliament, I understand they were very, very hastily called to government house to be sworn in. Their wives, they had no time to go to Miami to shop. Not hardly any time to dress, they just had to hurry there. And so here you have Lady Grey meeting some of the cabinet wives in 1967. And these are photographs of the first cabinet meeting of the PRP Labour government. Here we have Sir Randol and Lady Fawkes at the opening of Parliament in 1967. Now, while he was serving, Sir Randol was made the Minister of Labour and Commerce in this government, in this 1967 government. And while he served as the Minister of Labour and Commerce, he drafted the Industrial Relations Charter for the Bahama Islands. And it was decided that this charter would be launched in Freeport. And what the charter did was it detailed reciprocal rights and responsibilities in terms of industrial disputes. It was a code of ethics, a set of guidelines for all parties concerned. And, oh, you can go back. Yes, there they are in Freeport. And in the next photograph, we see Dr. Curtis McMillan and Sir Randol, and I don't know if he was knighted to Wallace Groves in the Camelot Room, Freeport's King's Inn, at the launch of the Industrial Relations Charter. And the charter was an effort to lay a foundation for our modern industrial relations policy as we know it today.